Double the strings, double the pleasure, double the fun. Taylor has introduced a new guitar that's, I think, flown a little bit under the radar. I want to tell you about today. It's the 264ce Koa Deluxe. Stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee here with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you want to support the channel, visit our spring store link below for custom t-shirts and other swag. And check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes should be out by the time that you're seeing this, where Cooper and I discuss our European trip. We had a great time, so make sure you check that out. So like I said at the beginning, this is a new model that Taylor introduced this year. And I think kind of in the midst of everything going on with their 50th anniversary and a lot of the other cool models that have come out, it might have flown a little bit under the radar. So I wanted to make sure to highlight it for you because this is really, if we just cut through everything simplistically, a 12-string version of one of the most popular guitars that Taylor sells, at least based upon our sales of them. Everyone and their mother loves the 224ce Koa Deluxe. And what's not to love? You get a 200 series guitar at a good value with a solid Koa top, fantastic looks, hard shell case, great playability. It kind of checks a lot of the boxes, right? If you want something that's acoustic electric, that's going to be a beautiful stage guitar with fantastic playability, fit and finish, and all of that stuff, there aren't really a lot of options, particularly when it comes to Koa in that price range. In price range, we're talking sub $2,000. So the fact that the Taylor 224ce Koa Deluxe is popular really isn't that surprising. This is really a cool option because what Taylor's done is said, yes, but more. We're going to take the guitar that all these people love, and we're just going to give you twice as many strings. So here you go. It's a 12-string version of that popular guitar. This is the Taylor 264ce Koa Deluxe. So what are you getting? Well, you're getting the same Grand Auditorium-sized body with a solid Hawaiian Koa top and layered Hawaiian Koa back and sides with a beautiful burst finish. Isn't it pretty? Okay. Other appointments include your ebony bridge fingerboard. You've got your dark binding, your mother of pearl rosette. This very cool inlay coming up the ebony fingerboard. And of course you have your gold tuners, and it comes with a hard shell deluxe Taylor case. ES2 pickup is on board with your volume, treble, and bass controls, active EQ with your 9-volt battery down in the bridge. Now this is a 200 series, which means it's built in their Mexico facility. If you're keeping count at home, it's about 60 miles away from their US facility in El Cajon, and they just make fantastic guitars. So like everything else down there, you can expect fantastic fit and finish, playability, great fretwork, and good sound. The nice thing about a 12-string in this kind of design is that it's not it's not a huge guitar. A Grand Auditorium body shape is about the size of a dreadnought. It's just as wide, it's just as deep, but it has a tighter waist. So when you're sitting, it sits lower. It's got a shapely look to it, and it just feels very, very comfortable. There's also a certain immediacy in the response compared to a bigger size guitar with the top. By doing that with a 12-string, you get a very, very comfortable guitar. And since this is a hardwood top being Hawaiian Koa, it responds well to the 12 strings. There's a certain dampening and compressing feature that happens with a hardwood top, whether it's Koa or mahogany. And so instead of being really bright and jangly, it tempers that down. It's still a 12-string, still sounds like a 12-string, but the notes are kind of rounded a little bit and compressed together, and so it can't get away from you as easily. When you dig into it, it responds with kind of a thicker, chunkier sound, which is really nice. The other great thing about every Taylor 12-string I've ever played is the playability. 12 strings can be difficult. You're almost doubling the amount of tension that's on the neck. And so for a lot of acoustic guitars that are 12 strings, what you usually have is you have action that suffers. That's the distance from the string to the fretboard. In this particular case, and what you'll see in the demo, is that I can play all the way up the neck, and it's just about as comfortable as playing a normal Taylor 6-string would be. So you have fantastic setup straight out of the box. You have really nice action. It's hard to convey this on camera, but the action here is really, really nice. There's like, the relief is perfect. It's dialed in. There's a really good quality here. So the playability of a 12-string in this particular case is fantastic. And again, it's acoustic electric, so it makes for a very great stage guitar. And I found Taylor's ES2 pickup system works really well for 12-string guitars because you don't deal with string-to-string balance issues. Can I get a little nerdy? I'm going to get a little geeky with you guys. So the way undersaddle pickups work, and if you've ever had string-to-string balance issues with a guitar, I'm about to tell you why. On an undersaddle pickup, you've got your saddle, it's fitting into a slot on the bridge, which usually is ebony or rosewood. And on an undersaddle pickup, the saddle is sitting sandwiched between the saddle and the bridge. So you've got this element, and depending upon the manufacturer, maybe it's a flexible element, or most commonly it's a rigid element. And so you've got these piezo crystals that are in this element sitting in the slot with the saddle on top, and then the strings bringing pressure. What happens often is that the string pressure is not equal. And what that means is the way piezo crystals work is by sensing that vibration and then translating that into a signal. And when you hear particularly like old 90s acoustic guitars, you plug it in, there's a certain quacky aspect to it. That's because when it's under pressure, a piezo crystal translates that sound into what we would call like a square law device. For every one you get in, put in, you get 4 out, so to speak. And so there's too much gain coming out of it immediately, and it gives you a quacky sound. But if one of your strings is applying pressure unevenly to that element, then that string will be louder than another string would be. And usually that occurs because maybe the saddle's not fitting in the slot very well, or maybe the bottom of the bridge slot for the saddle isn't perfectly flat. There's a lot of things that can happen to it, generally speaking. So once you understand that, now you can understand why it's a problem, even more so with 12 strings. Because you've got strings in pairs that have different thicknesses going over maybe or maybe not a compensated saddle, and trying to apply pressure to that element when they aren't going to be able to provide the same amount of pressure because these paired strings have unequal tensions that are going across the top of that saddle. That was very geeky, but hopefully that made sense to you. So effectively, you're not going to get the same amount of tension from the octave E string as you will as the normal low E string. And so string-to-string balance issues are pretty common. The way the ES2 works is it's not an undersaddle element. It's still piezo crystal technology, but it's sitting behind the saddle with a adjustment of pressure to just barely be touching it. And so it's picking up the vibrations of the saddle and positioned to pick up the pairs between the E and the A and the D and the G and the B and the E. That way, you're not going to deal with a string-to-string balance issue. And they dial them in the factory so that each element is balanced correctly. So for my money, this and maybe a few other designs are ideally what you want when you're dealing with any acoustic electric 12-string guitar. So hopefully, that was an aha moment for some of you, or explained why certain pickups work better than others. From here on, let's take a listen to the demo, and on the other side, we'll talk about the kind of sounds that you're getting out of this guitar. Check it out. So there you have it. Fantastic sounds for a 12-string. Like you may have heard, when I dig in a little bit more, it responds with kind of this chunky compression sound like you would normally get on anything that is koa or mahogany topped, because that's how it responds. Koa also has a little bit more high end than mahogany does, so I think it works very, very well for 12-string, and it looks really good to boot. If you're a fan of the 264ce, maybe you already have one and you've been wanting a 12-string, this is kind of a no-brainer. And if you're wanting to add a really great playing acoustic electric 12-string to your collection to perform with or to write with, and you don't want to spend too much money, this is, I think, ideally suited at this particular price point. You know, it's hard to find guitars for, you know, under $2,000 or $3,000 that play this well on a 12-string and have all of the features without really kind of the budget getting away from you, so to speak. And the fact that this comes with the features it does and the hard shell case, I think it's a winning formula. So if you want more information about this guitar, you want to check out all the specs, you can do so on our website, which is alamomusic.com. Spoiler alert, it's a 12-string, the nut's wider, but it plays really well. You'll get used to it, I promise. If you're trying to find a 12-string with a 1 3/4 inch nut width, good luck to you. There's double the strings, it's going to be wider, but a guitar like this plays really well. That and all the other specs, again, alamomusic.com. You can chat with us on there. You can talk to Cooper or myself or one of our associates, and they can answer any 12-string questions or other questions that you have and help you find the right guitar to suit your needs. They may not always understand string-to-string balance issues, because I'm probably the biggest guitar geek around here, so feel free to ask questions like that, and we'll get back to you as well. If you're new to our channel, I hope you enjoy it, and if you do so, make sure that you hit that like button, the subscribe button, and hit the bell to turn on notifications so that when we do new videos, you find out. And let me know in the comments below what you think about this guitar, and also on the issue of string-to-string balance, 6-string or 12-string, have you encountered issues? How were you aware of those issues? What kind of pickups do you like? I'd love to hear back from you, so let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.